where horror lies.
Hey guys, Rob and Georgia here with you. I'm your regular Wednesday evening host here at BodyBags. It is week 414. It is the opening week to August. And about a week from now, we'll get the year 1977 all week. We'll be looking at films from that particular year. And at the end of the month, of course, our theme week is alternative cuts of different films. And so looking forward to that. But it is random week, and I thought I would run with some Italian horror that has never been done here on BodyBags. How is that even possible? Antonio Margheriti's film Cannibal Apocalypse, or Cannibals in the Streets, from 1980. This is the Kino release, of course, and it's pretty loaded, man. It's Tim Lucas, film historian's got the commentary track on here. A Cannibal Apocalypse Redux, a great, nice hour-long documentary, and some TV spots, trailers, stuff like that. It's a pretty dang good release. Of course, the cast, of course, is headed by John Saxon, and Elizabeth Turner plays his wife Jane. Of course, John's name is Norman in the film, and he's a Green Beret who is, far removed, years removed from that now. Living in a suburb of Atlanta. Actually, it was filmed not too far from my house. Actually, I was looking up the other day, and it'd take about 35 minutes to actually park my car in front of the house, the Hopper House, where this movie in part was filmed. And I haven't done that yet, but I thought that's pretty cool. So it's a pretty dang good release here from Kino. Giovanni Lombardo Radice, of course, who is quickly becoming a very favorite actor of mine. Most recently, of course, Phantom of Death, Deodato film. But I really love his performance in Stage Fright. He's just fun to watch. And in this movie, man, I do believe this is his acting debut. The first film he was in is this one, which also, too, in the title of the film, Cannibal Apocalypse, I do believe the Italian title is Apocalypse Domani, which translated as Apocalypse Tomorrow, which is a play on Francis Ford Coppola's film Apocalypse Now. And so there's that play, and we know the Italians are good at that. And it's an interesting film. It's one that, quite frankly, I really enjoy. And the cast is pretty solid. Even those who are, Dr. Phil is a little bit annoying. Not his acting, but his character, who is sort of plays a doctor that he's a little too close to John Saxon's wife in this, who basically misses on the fact that he missed out on actually marrying her when she decided to marry Norman. But anyways, a lot of things underlining this. But I would say, man, this is a movie that begins with a flashback of sorts via nightmare of Norman, or John Saxon, right? Back to Vietnam, where he's caught up in, he's of course a Green Beret, and he's trying to free a couple of his buddies. Comes upon them. They're stuck down in this pit, and of course they're right in the middle of feasting on this person. I think it was a Viet Cong girl who had been killed and dumped in the pit, and they're just feasting on her. And as John reaches down with his hand to try to get them, or help them up, he's bitten in the arm, and subsequently, of course, he wakes up out of this nightmare. And what we find out here pretty soon is he's been plagued by these sort of urges to want to bite or consume human flesh that he's been dealing with these years. And and this sort of coincides with Giovanni Lombardo Radice's character Charles, who is in the process, slowly but surely, being allowed to leave the mental institution that he's been in. And so he's out on a day pass, and so he gives his buddy Norman a call, and that call triggers these feelings that he has so far up to this point been fighting. He starts to give way. Now, right as he's talking to Charles, and Charles is, he's getting close to hanging up, he is entertaining, in a manner of speaking, he's entertaining or humoring the young girl Mary from next door, who she sees him out there spending some time with her brother. She comes over and basically says, I need a little help with something, can you help me out? And so he invites her into the house while she begins the process of trying to seduce him. Well, he finally succumbs, but not in the way you would think. Ultimately, we're led to believe that we think one thing is about to unfold when in fact he ends up biting her. And that begins the process of this infection, this contagion, whatever you want to call it, that turns these people into cannibals, begins the process of spreading. Now, Charles is out on a day pass. He decides to go into a theater and watch a movie, and of course he's got a couple right in front of them, or him, and of course they're getting down and doing the wild thing right in front of him, and he just cannot control his urge, and with the girl's neck completely bared, he reaches down and takes a chunk out of her neck, and just from that point the movie starts to spiral out of control as things just get crazy. Pretty sure, I can't remember, it was filmed in Atlanta. The house isn't too far from, the Hopper House isn't too far from actually where I live, which is pretty cool. And the first time, when I first got this, the first time I plugged it in, my wife watched it with me, and there's a scene where they're driving down Main City Street, and I had no idea it was filmed in Atlanta until I saw the Varsity on the side, which is, one of the most famous restaurants we have here is the Varsity. And when I saw the Varsity, I'm like, are you serious? This was filmed in Atlanta, and sure enough it was. So that's pretty cool that you kind of get to see some landmarks, even though this is 1980. Some things just haven't changed, like the Varsity. And so things will begin to spiral out of control as John or Norman, his character, him and Charles, and then their buddy, there's two of them. Eventually they'll get, things will go out of control in the mental institution. They'll all break out of there, and there's a bunch of them, and they'll just go on this cannibal march, man, which is pretty cool. There's it's Margheriti, man. There's a few good shootouts, car chases. It's just a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun, and ultimately the police chase ends in the sewer systems, which is a great ending. And of course there's a little bit of a cliffhanger at the end, which nobody really capitalized upon in 1980, but we're kind of leave things just when we think things have found their finality, their end. There is a door that's been left open for us to continue the spread of this contagion, this cannibal contagion, which I would imagine is a metaphor that not only is war destructive in so many fronts, but it's contagious in the sense that war begets war, and once it's put into action, it's very hard to put back in the container and tighten up the lid, I guess. So there's some things working on. Now, the other thing I want to mention too is the standout writer here, Dardano Sacchetti, of course, maybe one of the greatest Italian horror writers. This guy has worked with everyone from Argento to both Babas to Fulci to De Rossi to Salve to Diodato to De Angelis, Sergio Martino, and I know there are others that he has worked with and written scripts for Cat O' Nine Tails, The Gates of Hell, two of those films, The Psychic, Cut and Run, Devilfish, the Demons movies, Killer Crocodile 2, and there's a ton of others that I'm just not mentioning. The guy is he's just an awesome freaking writer, especially when he's left pretty much to himself, when he's the only writer, or maybe he's working with the director. But you get a movie like Devilfish, and that's not a good example of his writing because there's like 7 or 8 writers on that thing, and the movie just comes across as so convoluted in its narrative, its plot structure. But when he's left to himself, man, I'm telling you what, man, he is unreal. Of course, Margheriti, I know him mostly from Castle of Blood, and trying to think, Killer Fish was one I saw. Lee Majors was one that I saw not too long ago, which I absolutely loved. Um, Trying to think, Giannato De Rossi's got the effects on this thing. Of course, we know him from Zombie, right? And Let Sleeping Corpses Lie, the Gates of Hell trilogy, right? So you got De Rossi, you've got Cicchetti, of course, Margheriti. You've got Radice, of course, in this thing, which is awesome. And of course, John Saxon, man. Who doesn't like John Saxon? So it is. It's got the gore. It's got some scenes that are a little disturbing. It's funny. One of the things that come out of the documentary that a couple of these, like John Saxon, really was not impressed to be a part of certain scenes and made an argument not to be a part of these scenes, which is interesting. Oh, I almost forgot. This is a video nasty as well. It's one of those that got banned. Just a shout out to David Lewin and the Video Nasty Volume 1 and 2. I looked this up the other day, and it was just getting a little bit of background on this. So this is one of those movies that actually got banned and prosecuted. And you go through some of these movies, and some of these movies are just outrageous in terms of, are you serious? It got pulled, it got banned, it got prosecuted. There's nothing in here that's really that outrageous. There's some good gore sequences. There's some unsettling moments. It is a fun Italian film for sure. I highly recommend it. This Kino release is really good too, for the reasons I mentioned earlier. Other than that, man, I guess I'll just leave it at there, man. It was just great to really dig into, to spend some time reading about, and I probably watched it a few times in the last couple weeks. And it was just fun, man. It was a lot of fun. So don't forget, next week, 1977, of course, alternative cuts at the end of the month. As always, we end these things off with Go Bills.
This is not a dream, not